Hey everyone, just a quick disclaimer before this video starts. I have basically took up a new format kind of where I make the scene first and then do the tutorial in it. And I publish everything I make, including the before and after of this scene. So after the tutorial is done, I save and publish that, and I also publish the beforehand so you can follow along in the same scene. And just like a Media Molecule tutorial, you can do following the steps basically and build alongside with me. Also, want to shout out again, I just started Patreon, got a couple of patrons already, and we have been, you know, tingling in this private server I got. I've also invited quite a few big names in the Dreams community, like the Mad GFX crew, some very active people from the Dreams Discord, and I'd be back a few other Dreams creators. So if you are looking for a server like that, I got one. Just gotta become a Patreon supporter, you know. Got a link in the description. You know, just help me out a little bit. I don't know. Alright, well, video's about to start. Have fun. Bye. Hi everyone. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial on player customization. So as you can see here, I got a bunch of anime heads with different hairstyles. So we are going to take these heads, and also we're going to add some mustaches, and I got a couple of other hairstyles for additional reference here to add on. And we're going to basically be making player customization, so you get to pick your head, your eye color, your hair color, and what hairstyle you have, as well as mustache. To get started with, I want to go over a couple things. So we have this as one group now, so we want to select this and deselect it. And I don't know, unfortunately, fortunately, pretty much unfortunately, this hair is, as you can see, groups, and within groups, within groups, within groups. So this is going to be a little bit consuming, but I thought that this would give us a lot of variety. So we could probably go through a few of these. We don't have to do all of them. But just enough to get the general idea down. It's up to you if you want to use this little scene here that I used for this. It's just too bad that this guy, because it's pretty good hairstyles, regardless if it's anime or not. So first off, what we're going to do is I'm going to show off what we're really going to be doing for like hair color to get that to work, and then we're going to go ahead and select the heads that we want, like the actual head model, not the hair and stuff like that, and we're going to go ahead and merge that on top of each other, the three base ones that are here. And I'll show you how I found out that there's three of them in a minute, but we're basically going to move them on top of each other to match, and then we're going to attach it to the head of this puppet that I have turned invisible. So if we go to show/hide and preview invisibility, we can go ahead and toggle that on and off. And you can see I hid the head. So what we want to do for hair color is the way that he has these hair pieces set up, or a she, I don't know. I shouldn't assume their gender, but their hair is actually black. And so that's kind of an issue, because if we had like an actual color on here, we could just do hue cycle and easily change the color, but we're gonna have to go through a different process here, which is gonna be really frustrating to go through for all this hair. But we're not gonna, I don't think we're gonna do all of this. You can if you want, just to practice, but if we go into the eyes, like that, just all of the eyes, you can see that we can adjust the hue cycle. I think we got his like little blip there. And you easily get different colors. You don't have to fiddle around that much, it's just a slider. So that's what we're going to be really doing most of the time here, is the hue slider, but in the case of the hairstyle we have to do something a bit more advanced. So anything that doesn't have color, like white and black, and probably grays, you're going to have to do this for, is we're going to get a timeline from our animate menu of our gadgets menu. And we're going to go ahead and open this up. And we're going to want about 4 keyframes. Only 3 of them are going to be unique, so we just need to place 3 right now. And go ahead and exit. Oh, did we? Oh, shoot. I accidentally put this timeline in the group with the head. Don't want to do that right now, so I'm going to go ahead and yank that out. And we got this keyframe, and I want to copy it over all the way to 3 seconds. Excuse me, I think we have 5 keyframes, and then 4 of them are unique, yeah. Not 3. So, I'm not sure. Let's just animate this. So, we have this sculpture here, and the first thing you want to do is you want to set, like, the tint color to red, like all the way to the right, and then all the way to the right for the tint color. Like the hue, you want to set all the way to the right for red, and then the actual like little selector thing in here all the way to the right to red. And you want to change the tint amount from 100% or 0 to 200%, and that's going to give us a color that we are going to be able to work off of. And we're going to go ahead and go into the keyframe, the first keyframe on our timeline, with L1 and X to edit it. And then we want to change this color wheel, just this tint color right here on the side. And we want to just pull it to the very right so it's in the same position as we had it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you get more colors if it is perfect. So. And then we're going to go to the next keyframe with L1 and left and right D-pad, right D-pad to go next. And we're going to move, you can either do the very top or the very bottom. So I'm going to do the very bottom. That's going to give us a nice deep blue color. And then we're going to do very left on the next keyframe. And then the next keyframe is going to be the opposite of the one you did previous. So if you did bottom before, you're going to want to do top. And then we can go ahead and stop recording. And now we're going to go ahead and copy the first keyframe, and we're going to put that at 4 seconds. And make sure you set the blend for all of these keyframes to linear. And you can do that by holding down L1 and then X between the spaces, or you can select all of them, go into the properties panel, and blend type linear. And we're going to go ahead and shrink down this timeline all the way until we can't shrink it anymore. And any playback mode is fine, any playback speed is fine, it doesn't really matter. And we're going to go ahead for now, just to demonstrate this, like that's what I'm doing. We're going to go ahead and get a value slider out. And we are going to say, okay, 0 to 1, that's fine. And we're going to go ahead and plug this value into the playhead position. So now we can slide and we get different colors. If we change this to 10 for maximum value, and then we divide the value by 10, we'll get an even higher definition for colors. You're not really going to have to do this all too much later down the line. Well, kind of. It depends on what definition of color you want. So go ahead and do that. And now we can see Get a nice colorful rainbow. Look at that. That's pretty nice. And the one issue with this is that you don't really get too much of a deeper color. Like this is kind of a lousy red, and then this is more of a magenta than it is of a red. So it really depends on what it is. Like, for example, if you have hair models already and they aren't in individual pieces, this is going to be a lot easier for you to make. Because you can know that you want to set the color to basically be any primary color. That's going to give you the best results, and you're going to want it to be the maximum set hue or saturation, so not like a gray color, but like a solid, complete color. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete this timeline and this cube for now, because we don't need it. And we're going to go ahead and go through the process of selecting the heads that we want. And we're also going to go through the process of selecting a couple of hair pieces, probably the simplest ones. Get a couple for each gender, maybe like 2 for each gender. So we're going to go ahead to our tools, and we're going to go ahead and do sculpture detail. And what this is going to do is this is going to reveal to us which heads are unique. So if we go ahead and hover over this head, you can see there's a whole bunch of heads that are selected. And if we go ahead and reduce the detail, it's reducing the detail for a bunch of heads. So I'm going to undo that. So we see that this entire row is a singular head. So I'm going to go ahead and select these. And we know that those are one single head type. And then these two are another head type. Then I'm guessing the rest of these are another head type. So I'm going to reorganize them a bit better. Alright. Now that we have the heads organized into their groups, we are going to go ahead and dissect them and get the actual head itself. So go ahead and do that. Oh, this guy even has some eyeballs. No, just don't want the hair. There we go. Not eyeballs, but eyelids. Yeah, they got eyelids. It's cool, you could animate that. That'd be really time consuming, I believe. To animate for all of this, but alright, so now we got a singular head type for one of them, and now we want to get the other two. Oh yeah, I should probably not deleted the hair. I don't know, I guess we won't use that hair. Oh, my sweet summer child, why must you? I'm gonna drag that out of that group. And then make another group with this. There we go. That's another type of head. And now we want one more. No. You have it easy? No. No? Okay. It's unfortunate that some of these are pretty difficult to work with. I mean, if you're making assets with somebody, or you're the artist yourself, then you're gonna have a much easier time than I am, because I'm remixing people's work. There we go. So now we got our 3 base heads, and they have their eyes with them, and they also have their eyebrows. And in this tutorial, I don't think they have different... I mean, they don't really have different eyebrows, do they? I mean, they do between the heads, But I don't know if the head groups have unique eyebrows themselves. If they do, well, too bad. Alright. So, now, I don't think I'm going to use this one, but I want to use this one specifically to show off something. Like, for example, if you have a beard or mustache group that, for example, takes up a slot, or it's a mustache, or, I mean, yeah, it's a beard, I mean, and you have a hairpiece that also has a beard on it, you want your hairpiece probably to take priority and to display its beard because it's one piece rather than multiple pieces or whatever you would have. So what we're going to do is we are going to set up later a way to do that. So we are going to, right now, we want to set up the eye color first, because that's going to be the easiest thing to do. So we're going to go ahead and open up the puppet logic of our puppet. So go ahead and scope into the puppet and then open the microchip at its feet with L1 and X. And I'm going to make a microchip on here. And if you've seen my variable tutorial, or I mean motherboard tutorial, then this is going to be a little bit easier for you to understand. Also my shop tutorial, I talked about it a little bit, but we're going to be using variables most likely for this, but for now we want to set up the animation first. So by default, I think these eyes, thankfully, are set up in easy mode. So, oh man, no, they have it weirdly grouped, of course. Why must you do this, my friend? I guess it's easier for them to set up. There we go. Okay. So you can see the hue cycle is 0 right now. So one cool thing we can do is we can very, very easily make just a single keyframe that animates this. So I'm going to go ahead and set up these eyes in all of the puppets so they aren't weirdly grouped. So we can easily do this. Or pretty easily, comparatively to before. Or just to get the steps out of the way, I guess. I don't know. There we go. Alright. So now the eyes are easily accessible, so let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and name this microchip on our new puppet. This is going to be our player customization. And we're going to go ahead and add the imp icon, make it blue. And then we're going to do another microchip in here, because I like to stay organized. And this is going to be our eye color. Alright. And now finally we can do this. It's not going to be too difficult. It's just we're going to place one keyframe down, and we're going to go ahead and scope in to our first guy, and we're going to go ahead and just change the hue cycle all the way to 360, and then we're going to do the same for the rest of the eyes here. And what this basically does is make it so we can slowly power this on from 0 to 1. And we're going to get all the colors of the rainbow. Also, one thing that is kind of concerning me is that the lady eyes are not identical to the male. So you'd get like a different eye color. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Thankfully, it shouldn't be too difficult, should it? No, I kind of messed up because the grouping thing. I'm gonna go ahead and regroup this and then copy this. And one cool thing is that if we copy an object, it keeps the keyframe properties. Oh man, that's gonna be a bit difficult to set up, isn't it? Okay, so let's try to position this as well as possible. If we can't get it down properly, we can probably just bring back the old eyes. I mean, that looks good. So now we get the same eye color throughout the heads, and you won't have a random change you'll have to deal with. It's always good to stay consistent. So now that we have all three heads together, what we want to do is first off, we want to turn off preview invisibility, and we are going to close this microchip for now for eye color. We'll do the logic for that rest of that later, because animating is going to be the most difficult part, so it's good to get that out of the way at first, because the animating the logic and the tweaks to sculptures and elements, they don't animate the position, so we can easily just move it into place later. So I'm going to get another microchip out, and this is going to be our, let's see here, let's make this the head selection, or just head, I guess. Head works. What icon can we use for the head? Let's do the skull. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and make 3 separate keyframes. So we can just place down one and then copy it 3 times. And we're going to go ahead and open this keyframe. And actually, first off, we want to select the 3 heads that we have. And we're going to turn them off, actually. And so I selected them with X, and then opened the properties with L1 and square, and then I turned them off. And now on our first keyframe, we're going to turn on that first head. Then our second keyframe, we're going to go ahead and turn on the second head, and so on. So now we have all 3 heads on the well, not on the player, but just there. None of them are active at the moment, but we'll fix that in a minute. So we're probably going to want to line them up, so we can keep them off, or we could turn them on for better visibility. So what I'm going to do actually is, to make this easier on us, I'm going to go ahead and make it so it's a toggle up here, rather than digging into the properties of the models. So we're going to go ahead and get a button or a switch from our sensors input section of our gadgets menu. Place that down, and I'm going to go ahead and hook that up to our 3 keyframes, just to make that a bit easier on us. Alright, so now they're all active. So let's go ahead and line them up on top of each other, and then group them together. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the precise move. And I think the best thing to line it up by is going to be our ears. Because the ear model is identical in all 3 of these heads. So if we get the ears lined up, it should get everything else lined up. It doesn't hurt to look at everything else as well. Oh, that's... okay. I'm going to turn on local space mode for the precise mover. Oh man, I hate it when people sculpt stuff like this. Not good at all. If you don't group things, like looking at the front, you can't align them properly. So this happens. Let me turn back on grid space mode, maybe that'll help. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, the more perfect it is, the less subtle it is when you change the heads and when you are doing, you know, this stuff. This is, oh man, this is a mess. Why did this guy do this? Or person, I don't know. Alright. 11 degrees. Okay, let's try to line this up now. Hate doing this by hand. Oh. Okay. That is a big ear. I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like a big ear. I don't know, maybe something will be easier to align is the nose, maybe? Okay. Ooh. Bring it down a bit. Inwards. That definitely needs to go like that. I feel like there's not much more we can do to align it better than this, unfortunately. Alright, maybe the eyes? Oh yes, the eyes. The eyes are a good place to align it, yes. Okay. Well, now we have all three heads on top of each other, so we're gonna go ahead and select them all. So you can tell if you have all three of them selected, because over here on our group menu it will say 3. So go ahead and group them together. And now we have one singular head that we can place onto this head. I'm going to go ahead and turn off preview invisibility. Well, actually we need it on to attach the head later. So we will go ahead and keep that on actually. And so now we just have this head group. And now we want to do these mustaches. So, I mean, one thing that's kind of a issue now is, well, if we don't align it perfectly, these mustaches are going to be a little bit off. So let's go ahead and get a selector from our gadgets menu, logic and processing. And we're going to get a slider from our sensors and input, yeah. And this is going to be our head selector for now. And we're going to go ahead and set this to value of 2 maximum. And we're going to set the selector to have 3 output ports in the property panel. A goes to the first keyframe, B goes to the second keyframe, C goes to the third. Open up the properties of the selector, and then output the value slider value into the active port, and that basically sets the A, B, and C value. So if we slide this now, we can see all 3 different heads. And as you can see, even though we tried our best, the female head is quite a bit off. So we could probably, maybe if we ghost it out like this, it'll be a little bit easier to line up. I don't know. Let's try that. Let's try to line up the mouth, maybe. Oh, that looks a lot better. Oh. Okay, now let's try sliding it. just way different than... I mean, the mouth is in the right place. The thing that we're worried about for the mustache is that, so... I mean, still a little bit jarring, but hey, it's better than what we had before. So, scope out now. And I'm going to go ahead and scope into our mustache group we have here. And I'm going to go ahead and move them on top of each other so we can easily position this. Well, actually, we don't even have the mustache thing set up yet, so let's do that first. We got to get our mustache customization. So we're going to go ahead and make another microchip. This is going to be for mustaches, so let's see. What would be good mustache? Cloud. White, of course. And we're going to do the same thing with the keyframes as we did with the heads, so I'm going to go ahead and probably fast forward through this. Alright, so now we got the mustache keyframe set up, so I'm going to go ahead and leave them turned off for now. Actually, you know what, I'm going to get the same button system going because I feel like that's going to help us to position them a lot better than if I was just doing it from the half visible mustaches that we have right now. Go ahead and position it like this, and like that, like this, and that's almost the same mustache as that one. Okay, we're gonna want to make sure that they are all lined up perfectly like this. That is a weird mustache. It's basically just... Is that one supposed to be like that? I don't know. 90 degrees? I don't like that it was going out all that way. It is kind of the same as that one. It's a little bit different, but... Yeah, it's a little bit different. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn off this button. Then I'm going to go ahead and position it onto the face. And since we are expecting it on a male face, I'm going to go ahead and position it on a male face. I mean, there's nothing wrong with putting mustaches on females, but it's not what you would expect, so... Go ahead and try to get this on as close as possible to what we want. Maybe shrink it down a bit. I love that it covers his face. I mean, not his face, but his mouth. So if we get this turned on, what does this look like actually? Oh, that's hilarious. Oh man, that's funny. That's funny. Okay, let's go ahead and select our mustache group and our head group, and we're gonna go and group these together. So this is as long as you are able to understand like your grouping structure, it's fine to have like multi-layered groups. Like we have our head group, and then we have the head and mustache group grouped together, and then we're also going to have a hair group later that's in this same scope or group. So this is one object now. So next is we probably want hair. So hair is going to be definitely pretty much the same thing. Did we set up any hair color yet though? No. So we're gonna do hair color first. It is identical to the cube hair color system. So if I go ahead and scope into one of these, you can see that the hair is tinted. And if we clear the tint and then the tint amount, it turns black. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through that because it's going to take forever to set it up for any proportional amount of these hairstyles. So I'm going to select a few hairstyles first. So I want this hairstyle. And let's see. Want that hairstyle. And I want this mohawk. Yeah, give me the mohawk. We'll do 3 of each gender. So we got 2. Nope. Want this one. No, this one is not. Okay, there we go. And we need 1 more. And we'll get a basic one. Oh wait, no. Yeah, we said 3 of each, so we got 3 female ones. Let's get this weird, wacky one. Come on, friend. There we go. And we'll get kind of a normal one. This one right here. Alright. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and set these up to change their hair color, basically. So, go, I'm definitely going to I'm going to have the fast forward play, because this is going to take a little bit. Okay. Alright, so now that we have basically all the hairs are ungrouped and I have changed their color to the base color, we're going to go ahead and animate the color, or I might go ahead and fast forward through that, but I just wanted to give a couple tips. You can actually select everything within a group by double tapping X, and oh look, you can also select everything in the scene as well. So you can also, in here, for example, if you think you have everything, you can change the color first. Select everything and then try to change the color, and then if you see something that isn't the color that you set it to be, then you probably need to ungroup that as well. And that's just for this set. You probably won't have to do that if you have your own custom hairstyles, but I thought these hairs were the best that I could find, so I wanted to do it with those. So now that we have our hairstyle set, let's go ahead and totally ruin it by ungrouping everything. And this is gonna just make it 1,000,000 times easier to animate, but it's also gonna be a little bit of a bee to put back together. So now that we have all that, let's go ahead and make a eye color, not an eye color, but we'll place a microchip below eye color, and we're gonna call this one just hair color. Alright, and now we're gonna go ahead and get out a timeline that we had earlier. It's the same principle that we did with the cube, but now we're just selecting everything. So now I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a few keyframes, copy it out, just to get it easier to do later, or easier to have everything set up so you can instead of manually entering the keyframes like we were doing earlier, you're going to be able to switch between them. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the linear already. And then I'm going to do the first keyframe. I'm going to just select everything in the scene. And then slowly but surely unselect the heads that we don't want. And everything that we don't want. And now we have all this stuff. Isn't that great? I don't think we have anything else selected. So, alright, cool. So now we should be able to open up properties for this. And then we're going to animate everything here. So, set that color. Next frame. Set that color. Next frame. Set that color. Next frame. Set that color. And you can do the same process for, like, for example, tint them out and you get even more color depth. Like that. You can see it goes darker because this is black, but you could change the base color to white and you get a different color. But we're not going to do the tint them out now because that's just a lot. So now we have all of the colors we need. So we're going to go ahead and set I'm going to get the first keyframe and make it the last one as well. And now we have all that set up. But now we're going to have to, you know, regroup the hair. So I don't know if this was a good idea or not. Oh god. So I'm going to go ahead and probably skip through this. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, I'm back, and I have gone ahead and grouped back together this hair, and I've also cleaned up a bit, meaning that a few of these, when I grouped them, were just completely invisible, so I just deleted the hair parts. So yay, we get to save on some graphics and gameplay thermo, I think. Alright, now let's go ahead and let's see. Actually, I'll still explain how to make the selection thing, but I want to not use this because this is white. So you know what I could do? I could just delete the color thing on this. There we go. And then delete that. Delete that. There we go. That can't have color because you'd be too old. I don't know. Alright, but now we have a bunch of hairstyles. So let's go ahead and group them together and put them on the head. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Well, wait. First off, we have to get the actual hair to, you know, be selected. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So it's basically the same thing as the head. I'm going to make this microchip white. Let's do wind for hair. And let's see here. We're going to go and make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different keyframes. So I'm going to copy it, make a new one, and then copy them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. It's quite a few. And of course, we want to turn all these off. Start with. Oop, no, we don't want. Oh, well. Don't want the guy, or the player, I mean, in hair group. So now we are going to go ahead and turn these off. And then one by one, we're going to turn back on. Alright, now that we have all these keyframes set up, I'm going to, of course, turn them on with a switch for now. And we're going to go ahead and position them correctly and then group them together. And then we're going to put that in the head group itself. And then I believe we're going to attach that to the actual puppet. And then we are going to do the actual logic for all this. You know what, I think this may be way easier if we actually position it on this head. I might want to actually, instead of doing this, I'm going to do the selector method. Which is the same thing that we have right now in the, I think, head group? Kind of, yeah. Alright. And we're gonna go ahead and set this up. And we're gonna use the selector for the actual logic at some point, so, you know, it's never too early to start. And I am going to be making a UI tutorial soon, so I don't want this video to stretch out for too long, so we're going to set up the logic to actually, you know, turn these on properly and utilize these properly. And then if you've seen my shop tutorial, you may be able to make a UI customization menu on your own without the actual UI tutorial that I'm going to make, I believe, after this. But basically, we're going to be using variables, so it'd be the same thing with like the cash and like displaying like money, and like instead of money you would be displaying which head you have selected, and then you would use a like selector like from a list of heads, and you'd select that one. Instead of buying it, you would be, you know, changing the variable to this, whatever one you want, unless you want to buy your hair, which kind of makes sense from a barber shop kind of perspective. So I think I might do a tutorial on putting everything together at some point, so that would be a nice tutorial. Once we have all this set up, we'll have like a nice RPG system, you know. Alright. That looks placed well enough. Maybe, I don't know. I can't even remember how it was set up. Yeah, that looks good. Let's get this one on now. So let's do 1. Oh, did I not set this to 6? I did. Okay, let's get this one on. Well, we definitely don't want the side of the head visible. Maybe the ear, but definitely not the side of the head. Alright. That looks good. Let's get the next one. Yeah, I thought that was a bit too close. No. Let's actually turn on preview and visibility, and this is going to be a little bit easier to work with. Oh, there's a big patch of hair missing from the back of the head. I don't know if I did that or if it came like that. Alright. That looks good enough for me, as long as... Oh, no, there is. Okay, there is a big glaring patch. Oof. Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Okay. Next one, please. Seems like... I don't know. Well, this one's technically male hair, I think. So let's get the other head. I don't know. Was that one even... Was that other one female? I don't know. I'll have to double check everything to see if it goes well together, you know. It's kind of getting into their eyes, you know. I don't know if we want that. There we go. That looks nice. Well, maybe a little bit more like that. Really into their eyes now. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. That looks good. Looks good. Let's get the next hairstyle. Oh, the mohawk. Nice. Mohawk. This one's easiest position. Just gotta make sure it's centered. There we go. Next hair. Alright. And let's get this fun, wacky wizard hairstyle over here. Let's hope that it fits. Kind of looks like he's wearing a Santa Claus mask, if anything. Shrink it down a little bit, maybe. No, it's not big enough. Not big enough. Shrink it. Oh no, hold on. Yeah. It's gonna have to look a little bit weird. I don't know. Looks fine. It looks fine. Okay. Now let's go ahead and turn off preview and visibility, and we want to make sure we have 7 hairstyles selected. And I want to select everything but the head. There we go. Then we're going to group these 7, and then we want to take it and then scope into the head. There we go. Now we should be able to slide our sliders to our heart's content. It should look fine. Yeah. Okay. How's our thermo overloading a bit? Saw something pop up. Make sure nothing's popping out through the back with all the hairstyles on all the heads. That one kind of has a little bit of bald spot, but that's fine. It's nothing too severe. In fact, I think I might fix it just by doing that. Let's do it. There we go. Nice. Alright, cool. I like it. I like it. Alright, so now we're actually going to get this head attached. So that's the easiest part, really. I'm going to go ahead and set this group to be non-movable. And, of course, okay, that's good. We want it visible, of course. And then we are going to go ahead and turn off preview invisibility. And we're going to go ahead and scope in to our head, or into our puppet with it. And then we're going to go ahead and scope into the head. And we just made a group with the actual head, and now we're going to go ahead and turn on preview visibility. Oh, we have to, you know what? We need to turn on visibility for this group. Do we need it movable? Okay, that's fine. And then we want to preview invisibility. Well, we gotta make the sculpt. I don't know why I made the group invisible and not just that sculpt. Okay. Cool. Alright. Now we can go ahead and position this head to where we want it to be. On the neck. If we get out the connectors, we can probably see... I think the connector... That looks nice. Okay. Of course, you would probably want to set this up with your puppet. Like, you sculpted your puppet specifically for these models. Or vice versa. Let's get the mohawk going. Physics data. Ooh. That's an issue. So one thing that we can do to resolve that is we can probably scope in to the hair. And we would select everything and then just change the physics data to, like, low on everything. I don't know why it was complaining about physics when these... This shouldn't even have weight. Yeah, it's not movable. So it shouldn't really complain about it. We might want to lower that head a little bit more. Alright. See if we get any other physics. Yep, this one doesn't like physics in this either. Select all that. Change physics cost to low. What about that one? Definitely not. Doesn't care about that one. We'll do this one too. Physics cost low. Oh, it's still complaining. Ooh. That's not good. Ignore interaction, maybe ignore gravity. 0% density, maybe. I don't know. Alright. As long as, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think the only thing it's concerned about is, like, collisions. Yeah, probably collisions. So we could probably turn off the collisions for all this. That might help. Yep, there it is. Might want to do that with the other hair as well. Of course, you wouldn't have to do this if your hair was one sculpt. I think we did that one already. Alright, now our head is actually set up and we can actually play with our sliders and we can customize everything that we want, except for the mustache. So let's get the mustache selector set up. And we're going to do something special with this. So let's see here. Exclusive gate. Well, we're going to use an exclusive gate in a little bit here, but we're going to use the selector first. And we also want the ability to have no mustache. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. We want 6, and A is going to be default and no mustache. And you can do this for hair too if you want balding, for example. Alright. So no mustache. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and get a slider maybe? No, we're gonna do the actual logic now. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that everything here is deleted. And if you haven't seen my motherboard tutorial, I highly suggest watching it. It's not a tutorial, it's more of a good game design. But we're gonna basically make a motherboard right now. And a motherboard is a microchip. And it's just a container for all your variables that will be in your dream or in your scene. And basically you save it as a separate object, and whenever you want to add a new variable that saves, like save data, anything that you want your player to be able to save, like you can make a really long game with an RPG and you want to save like the player position, or you want to save the player's customization and inventory and stuff, all that data has to be saved somehow, and Dream saves it with variables. So we're going to want to be able to save our player's customization. So we're going to go ahead and make just a motherboard here. And the way you would have this set up here is once you have your basic motherboard set up, you would select the object and save as a new creation. And or if you already have a motherboard set up, you would select it and you would do edit source, and that's how you would add any new variables to it. Alright, so now that we have our quote-unquote motherboard, we're going to go ahead and get these variables started out. So if you want to get a variable, go ahead and go to Gadgets, Logic and Processing, and then Variable is almost at the very end. It's second to last. And we want a variable for each of our customization features. So we have eye color, hair color, head, hair, mustache. So we want 5 different variables. And we want them to persist in the dream. And we also want no negative value. And for now we'll keep the positive 1000 because who am I to tell you how many things you can have in a scene? That's the thermometer's job. Okay, so we got eye color. Oop. Eye color. Got. Well, it's a good way to to organize this is at the very beginning, before you type stuff in, so you don't want to get your variables lost, is you can type in the keyword customize underscore and then iColor. So now when you have a variable modifier, you can scroll through the list and it'll show up when you find your customization options. It'll all be there instead of like spread throughout. A variable modifier is what we're going to be able to use to set and get our customization options. So we got eye color, we got hair color, we got hair, and we got head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we got mustache. Alright. And now what we can do over here is we can use these values to set our actual customization options. And also, I think these heads are now lagging out the level, so I'm going to go ahead and delete these. This is just a selection choice for what you want, basically. Yeah, that gave us quite a bit of stuff back. And the game doesn't lag anymore, which is great. Pretty neon here. I'm getting distracted. Okay, so now we got eye color. Well, what we want to do with this is that slider. We got 360 degrees in the eye color, so we're going to do a 360 degrees. So we're going to do variable modifier in our logics and processing section, the very last one. We're going to open the properties of that, and we're going to get customize eye color, and we're going to do operation type get. So that's going to get our eye color from the variable, and it's going to be when we set our value. Since the slider value is 0 to 360, that's what it's going to come out as. But this keyframe only takes 0 to 1 input. Like if we do 2, it's not gonna slide all the way. If we do 1, it's gonna go with the full 360. So we want to divide this number by 360 to get a 0 to 1 input. So we're gonna go ahead and hook up this variable modifier, the output, to a calculator. And the calculator is in your logic and processing section of your gadgets menu. And once you have the variable value hooked into A of the calculator, I'll go ahead and open the properties up. We're going to do divide, which is the fourth option, and then we want operand 2. It's a slider, and we're going to go ahead and set that to 360. And this is going to get us our 0 to 1 value. It may take a minute. I heard pretty soon here there's going to be an update that lets you type in the values, but that might be a rumor. Somebody told me they saw the feature in one of the streams, but I don't watch the streams much anymore. I used to watch them like as soon as they came out, like when they were live streaming, and that was like 8 in the morning for me, and I usually wake up at like 12 in the afternoon, so that was a little bit difficult for me. Alright, so now that we got this calculator and we got this keyframe, we're going to go ahead and hook up the result of the calculator into our keyframe for the eye color, and that's our eye color customization done. And then we're going to do hair color, and it's pretty much the same thing, except instead of plugging it into the power of the keyframe, we're going to plug it into the playhead of the timeline. Now, you'd think you would open up the properties of the timeline, and then playhead position, that's where you think you'd plug it into, but no. the playhead itself has an input on the timeline, which is, I think, very silly to have like two. Like, playhead position is the output, and then playhead itself is the input. Like, why would you do that? Maybe playhead position is like a timestamp instead of 0 to 1. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But we're gonna go ahead and copy the variable modifier in the calculator over from eye color onto our hair color microchip, because it's the same value, and I don't want to use the slider again for the calculator. And we're going to go ahead and open up the properties of the variable modifier, and we're just going to change this from customize eye color to customize hair color. And then we're going to go ahead and output that into our timeline, the timeline playhead. So open the actual timeline itself, not the properties, but the timeline itself. Get the results of the calculator, and then at the bottom of your timeline is a playhead input. Go ahead and plug it into there. And now we'll have like a 0 to 1 input. We can go ahead and show that off with the slider. I think I did this earlier when I was showing you how to do it with the cube, but it doesn't hurt to show it off now. Yep, you can see it. Right? And now we're going to want to do the head, hair, and mustache. This is arguably the easiest. We already have the logic set up. So go ahead and get a variable modifier. You can copy it, or you can just make a new one. And we're going to go ahead and set this to be, this is head. So we're going to do variable name head, and we're going to get, and we're going to go ahead and open up the selector's properties. And the very bottom is that number input that we had, active port. So basically, whenever we set the head value, that's going to come from here. And let's go into the selector, and 0 is A, and then 1 is B, and then 2 is C. So basically, now, since we are default, we have 0, 0, 0, we get this nice input here. Now, we can basically just copy this over for the hair, and of course the mustache, except we want to change the variable modifier name thing. And it's a field. It's not the actual name of the variable modifier, but it's like a property within the property of the variable modifier itself. Some people would get it confused and like actually rename the variable modifier. You do that with the variables themselves, but not the variable modifier, which is kind of weird. So we got the hair, got one more, and that's mustache. Alright. And that's all the logic on the player. There's one thing I kind of forgot about, so I'm putting this in last minute. I did say a couple times that I was going to show how to, like, prevent items from showing up if you have a different thing equipped, or different, like, different customization option basically chosen. So, for example, we have the, let's see here. We have a mustache set up, but what if we have the hairstyle that I said I didn't want? If we had, if we have this hairstyle, I don't want a mustache, for example. Well, one easy way we could do this is we could either wire this up to a NOT gate and then turn this off, or something with exclusive gates would be, now if you have like multiple players or multiple things using this customization thing, I don't recommend that, by the way. I would probably bake it, as in like you would have set up your customization system and then make the character you want, and then like keep all the keyframes set to keep changes, and then delete anything that's not turned on. But in this case, for this example, I wanted to go over exclusive gates a little bit. So we're going to do this really quickly. We're going to get an exclusive gate out. And these act kind of similar to variables, where you have to name this to actually function properly. So basically what this allows is, it's kind of like a selector, but you can have like pretty much, I mean, as many as you want, quote unquote. And if they have the same name, it will only allow one output. So if you, for example, have one thing turned on, it will prevent the other exclusive gates from turning on. So this is going to be our, like, mustache exclusive gate. Let's put that E in there. Alright, and this is your priority. So the higher the priority means if they turned on at the same time, then the one that has higher priority will turn on first. So what we want is, this is going to completely override our mustache. So what we're going to do is we're just going to set this one here to interrupt, meaning that it will change any other mustache gate that is not set to interrupt. It'll automatically close that gate. Like, it'll turn off its signal output. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. So we have this mustache exclusive gate, and we also need it for each and every mustache over here. So we're going to have to copy this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then go ahead and delete what we have now. And then just hook it up directly like this. Now, for this use case, it's not ideal. Like, you could just turn off this selector or this microchip entirely using a wireless transmitter, but this is kind of just like a little demo of exclusive gates that I said I would do, so why not? I'm going to hook up everything like I said I was going to. And as soon as we get this done, and then delete that, and that goes into here, it will turn off our mustache over here, or should. Yep. So now, if we have that selected, then we can't have a mustache. And if we wanted to, we could do it for the head as well. Like, if you have the female phenotype selected, you can't have a mustache, or something like that. I don't know. Let's see, hair. So if we change this off of 6, we're gonna get that mustache back, as you can see. Alright. So that was just a little change I wanted to introduce. So yeah, I'll let you go back to the rest of the video now. I am going to be doing a UI tutorial that specifically extends onto this, but it's gonna be like completely UI focused, and we're gonna, for example purposes, we're gonna go ahead and set this up, but we've already been doing this for quite a while for this tutorial, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it off here. I'm just gonna show off some stuff first, so we can change the eye color value right now. I think, yeah, you can get the default eye value. Let's get that nice blue color, and then I want the hair to be blonde, maybe. Let's get a Samus going or something. I don't know. Is this hair color? Yes, it is. Get a nice yellow. And customize hair. This kind of looks like Android 13, even though I don't know who that character is. Customize head. Let's get the female head on there. Yeah, it doesn't need that much of an output to change that. There we go, 2. There we go. And then the mustache. Yeah, why not? Let's give them a mustache. Nice. Cool. Okay. Yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope this video wasn't too long for you. I want to thank everyone that watches the video all the way through to the end. Yeah, I also, if you don't know, you probably do, because I've been putting in the recent videos. I have a Patreon now. If you want to, you know, help me out with that, that'd be Gucci. I got a private Discord server that you can join in if you become a patron. Also, yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye.